NBC7 Shelby Bremer has been digging into this and has a look at why the incident is under scrutiny and also what your rights at the border are.
Now to a story we've been following all week. Customs officers at the San Ysidro Port of Entry captured on video detaining a family at gunpoint.
So the San Diego family says it was all a case of mistaken identity. NBC7 Shelby Bremer has been digging into this and has a look at why the incident is under scrutiny and also what your rights at the border are.
We've been calling and emailing officials at Customs and Border Protection for days now. Still, radio silence.
But what happened? I don't understand why. What happened?
This is Mercedes Durazo, a 75-year-old American citizen who lives in Chula Vista. One by one, she and her family were detained by customs officers with guns drawn. They were on their way home from a funeral in Mexico.
Fue horroroso.
It was horrifying. I said, they're going to kill us here. What did we do? The family says they were taken to a holding tank where they learned officers were looking for a Jorge Gonzalez, which is her son's name. But he was not the person they were looking for.
The Constitution applies to people at the border.
Civil rights lawyer Joseph McMullen says the Supreme Court has broken up your rights at the border into routine and non-routine searches. Answering questions as you cross, that's routine. He says guns drawn is generally not.
There needs to be a reason for it, and that reason is called reasonable suspicion. And those are specific, articulable factors that would reasonably lead an officer to suspect that this person has committed a crime.
We sent CBP specific questions trying to understand that reasonable suspicion. Why were they looking for Jorge Gonzalez? Why did officers draw their weapons? It's been 4 days with no answers. The only thing we've gotten in response? CBP says when encountering travelers with names similar to those flagged in their database, protocol is to escort them to secondary inspection. Mercedes' nephew says he's been to secondary before.
I mean, going to secondary is not no biggie. A lot of people go through that and it's not a problem.
So the issue here isn't that they were taken to secondary. The question is, why was it at gunpoint? Since CBP won't talk to us, we turned to their use of force policy. Their own manual says, under the Constitution, officers shall only use force that is objectively reasonable, if there's an imminent threat or if someone is resisting arrest, among other factors.
Hands up, hands up, hands up. Walk backwards, walk backwards.
Mercedes says she and her grieving family, with 2 children, including her 9-year-old grandson, posed no threat.
Es que tengo artritis.
I have arthritis and I can't walk backwards very well. But they made me anyway, and then they put my hands behind my back so they could put me in handcuffs. We also asked CBP if they've opened an investigation into this incident. Again, they still have not responded. But this policy says that any use of force shall be documented and investigated. Shelby Bremer, NBC7.
The policy also says officers must be trained on de-escalation tactics and the use of excessive force will not be tolerated.